you've been watching Demon Slayer wrong. It's not just about demons or sword fights. It's about something quieter, something heavier, suffering. And what it's been trying to teach you is something most people run from. Because here's the truth. Anime is escapism, sure, but Demon Slayer, it doesn't let you escape. It stares you down and whispers, your pain has a purpose. Not to break you, but to forge you. And the more you watch, the more you realize this isn't just a shonen power fantasy. It's a love letter to grief. To those of us still walking around with open wounds. To the ones who've lost someone or lost ourselves trying to protect them. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the weight you've been carrying and what Demon Slayer's been trying to say about it all along. And by the end of this, you won't just watch Demon Slayer differently, you'll start walking differently. What do you do when life punches you in the face with no warning? When the people you love are gone and the only thing left is the climb? Tanjiro didn't ask for tragedy, but he didn't let it turn him into one. We've all had moments where the world changes in a blink. You wake up one day and something's missing. A person, a dream, your sense of direction. And no one teaches you what to do with that kind of pain. So you carry it in your chest, in your back, in that I'm fine smile you keep using like a shield. Like gym bros carrying trauma in their traps. That's Tanjiro in episode 1. The snow is falling. His whole family is gone. And instead of collapsing, he lifts Nezuko onto his back and starts walking. Uphill, bleeding, barefoot. Not because he knows what to do, but because doing something is the only thing that keeps you from falling apart. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. It's what happens when pain doesn't just change you, it strengthens you. Tadashi and Calhoun found that people who confront deep suffering often develop more resilience, deeper empathy, and a clearer sense of meaning than before. Pain doesn't guarantee transformation, but it can be the forge. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Tanjiro is proof. He doesn't become strong despite his pain, he becomes strong because of it. Watch closely. In that same first episode, as Tanjiro climbs through the forest, his face isn't angry. It's devastated, but focused. He's not chasing revenge. He's protecting what's left. He's choosing love while knee-deep in grief. That is not weakness. That is nobility. Ever gone to work with a heart that felt like it cracked in half? Ever held someone together when you were falling apart yourself? That's your uphill walk. That's your Tanjiro moment. It doesn't feel cinematic in real life. It feels exhausting, but it's the same courage. Strength doesn't look like screaming, "I'm fine." It looks like being broken and still showing up. Tanjiro's power isn't in his sword. It's in that choice to carry the pain, to walk anyway. Here's your real-life breathing form. The next time grief hits or life blindsides you, pause and ask, what's the next small step I can take with love? Not force, not denial, love. Maybe that's texting a friend. Maybe that's just getting out of bed. Small steps up the mountain still count. Some people burn out, others burn brighter. Rengoku, he burned on purpose because not every fire is meant to destroy. Some fires are sacred. You ever feel like you're the only one holding it together? Like you have to be the strong one for your family, your friends, your team? But deep down, you're exhausted and no one sees it. Rengoku smiled until the very end. Not because he wasn't hurting, but because he chose to hurt for something greater than himself. That's the kind of suffering that doesn't show up in blood or bruises. It's quiet, invisible, but it shapes who you are. In Stoic thought, there's a concept called voluntary discomfort, training your mind to embrace hardship. So when life strikes, you're ready. Seneca put it this way: set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, and ask yourself, is this the condition I feared? Rengoku lived this philosophy in fire. He wasn't fearless because nothing could hurt him. He was fearless because he trained with pain. He met it with purpose, and that's why it didn't consume him. it revealed him. In the Mugen Train arc, Rengoku knows. He knows the odds. He knows he might die. And still, he smiles, eats his bento with joy. The man stared death in the face and said, "But first, lunch," fights with elegance, and stands between a demon and innocent lives like it's the most natural thing in the world. But the part that shatters you, it's not the fight, it's the way he reaches back to Tanjiro while dying to pass on the fire. Set your heart ablaze. That's not just a line, it's a mission. You ever stay up late helping someone while quietly drowning in your own mess? Or put on a smile to give others strength while your own hands are shaking? That's Rengoku. That's you. That's what makes you strong. Not the mask, but the reason behind it. The strongest people aren't the ones who feel nothing. They're the ones who choose to feel deeply and act anyway. Rengoku didn't just fight demons. He fought despair with purpose. He knew his flame wouldn't last forever, so he used it while he had it. Here's your fire form. Ask yourself, what am I willing to hurt for? What do you care about enough to suffer well? Write it down. That's your reason. That's your Rengoku. Now, set your heart ablaze. Let's be real. Zenitsu's kind of a mess. He screams, he panics, runs from danger, and then becomes an absolute thunder god while unconscious. Zenitsu, anxiety order by day, lightning bolt by accident. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the ones who fear the most are the ones who feel the most, and that's their superpower. Have you ever hated yourself for being scared, for procrastinating out of fear, for saying no to something even though you wanted it, or for not speaking up because your heart was pounding too loud? Yeah, that was Zenitsu. He doesn't have Thanos-level trauma. He's not a tragic backstory machine. He's just a regular dude trying to survive a world that feels too big. And yet, he doesn't run. Not really. Because courage isn't about the absence of fear. It's about showing up while afraid. In psychology, there's something called the Yerkes-Dodson law. It shows that performance increases with arousal up to a point, but too much stress, performance drops, unless you train with the fear. Zenitsu's entire arc is about this. He doesn't eliminate fear. He trains through it. He doesn't suddenly become brave. He channels terror into focus. Dr. Susan David, a Harvard psychologist, puts it like this. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is fear walking. And Zenitsu, he's sprinting. Remember season 1 when Zenitsu is poisoned? His limbs are going numb. The demon is closing in. And just when you think it's over, he passes out. And that's when he becomes unstoppable. But it's not just muscle memory. It's the training he did despite his fear. That fear didn't vanish. It turned into lightning. His sword style is called Thunderclap and Flash. And ironically, he only knows one form, but he's mastered it. Because mastery doesn't mean knowing everything. It means knowing one thing deeply and being brave enough to use it. You ever freeze before sending an email? Or rehearse a conversation 10 times in your head and still bail at the last second? That's your version of Zenitsu collapsing before a fight. But here's the twist. Even Zenitsu gets back up. Even you can act in fear, even if your legs shake, even if your voice cracks, even if you're not ready. You still show up. And that's lightning. Zenitsu teaches us this. You don't need to be fearless to be powerful. You just need to move anyway. Fear isn't a weakness. It's a compass. It points you to the thing that matters. And every time you choose to step forward instead of back, that's Thunderclap and Flash. That's you unleashed. Here's your lightning strike. Write down one thing you've been afraid to do. Then take one tiny step toward it. Just one. Because the gap between fear and action is exactly one breath. Take it. But here's the twist no one talks about. What happens when you run from pain? What does strength become when it's built on avoidance? Not everyone who suffers grows stronger. Some people get stuck. They freeze in time, still fighting ghosts no one else can see. They wear their wounds like armor and forget how to take it off. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, but Yoon warned, what you do not make conscious will direct your life. And you will call it fate. That's the paradox. Pain can build you or bury you. Look at Akaza. He ran from grief, refused to remember his fiance's name, and that made him stronger in all the wrong ways. Obsessed, isolated, empty. Now look at Tanjiro. He feels everything, and that's what makes him lethal. He doesn't hide his pain. He makes it his compass. We all know an Akaza. Jacked, productive, high performer, but the second things get quiet, they panic. Because silence sounds too much like memory. Maybe you know someone like that. Hyper-disciplined, always achieving, but never resting. Because the moment they stop, the memories catch up. That's not focus, that's fear in disguise. So here's the truth. Pain doesn't make you noble just by existing. It makes you noble when you choose to face it. Pain is fire. You either become ash or you become forged steel. So what does it all mean? After all the blood, all the grief, all the climbing, what's left is who you become because of it. See, most people think pain is punishment, a glitch in the system, a flaw to hide or fix. Tanjiro's blistered hands, Rengoku smiling as the sun sets, Zenitsu trembling, still charging forward. They didn't get stronger despite their pain, they got stronger through it. And maybe you don't have a blade or a breathing form, but you've carried your own mountains, grief, rejection, setbacks, silence, and that one text that said K and destroyed your day. Every scar was a step. You're not broken, you're being built. You thought Demon Slayer was about slaying demons, but really, it's about becoming someone who doesn't run from their own fire.